Welcome to Fishing Britain. This week, I take on an international challenge. ROVTV delves into the depths with some winter piking. Meanwhile, Anthony Glasgow Jr. revisits some childhood haunts. But first, it's off to the River Dee in North Wales. This week, I was determined to get out on a river. Now on Thursday, two of my friends fished the Tweed. By Friday, 3.5 foot higher, so a total washout. So thankfully, Corwin and District Angling Club came to the rescue. So today, we're going to have a friendly competition between Czech Republic.
So hi, I'm Juristen Tak.
England.
Hi, my name is Paul Davison.
And of course, Wales. Let the fun begin. Right, competition is just about to start. Now the problem is I'm at a disadvantage. Those other two were fishing yesterday, so they know the flies and they know the tactics. So what's happened is Aaron is on my side and he filmed them to find out what they're going to do. Now he can't tell me what flies and what tactics, but I can have a sneak peek at the footage to see, and it'll give me a starter for 10. Right, the match has started. I've only had one cast and this one, he's already had two. Come on, let's go and have a look at the fish and, more importantly, the secret fly. Right, that's the hole, right?
I am 6'3".
Now then, second fish on the same fly?
Yeah.
What's the fly? Come on, you were practicing yesterday. That one. Both come to that one?
Yeah.
Right, okay, thank you. Before tying on the killer fly, let's have a chat with the chairman of the angling club.
Dee Grayling has been prominent on the Dee now for approximately, I would say, 30 years. It's come on leaps and bounds as a fishery, and people travel from all over the world to fish our water here. So we are very, well, we're exceptionally fortunate. The Grayling kicks in usually at mid-October, and then it fishes well until the end of February.
Our viewers, if they want to become members, how do they go about it?
Very simple. We've got a Facebook page, and also they can go on our website, cornwalldistrictanglingclub.co.uk. One
of the most important things about fishing, whether you're fishing in the braid, the touchline as Paul's using, or the French leader I'm using, is your point fly. Now that's the one that's going to trundle along the bottom. And what we do is we tie them all on jig heads, so that actually the fly rides upside down. You see the nylon now is coming straight off the eye, and as it's trundling down, that's how it goes. Occasionally when you go hooked up, what will happen is that will pull tight, and then the fly will be like that. If you keep snagging up, then that's all you have to do is grab that fly, pull that line tight, and you'll see again, it rides with the hook upright. That way you'll be able to fish a lot more places and not get snagged. Then I've got a couple of flies, just smaller nymphs, on straight hooks, not jig hooks, up the cast. And then with the French leader, the important one, just higher up here, is the indicator. Now, I've got it in a long tapered leader. And then these balls there, those are your indicators. And what you do, you cast it upstream and you allow the current to bring your flies down towards you. What you've got to do is watch these indicators like a hawk. If it stops for a split second, tighten up, because it means the fish has just stopped that fly coming down with the flow. So cast it up, and the great thing with the French leader is you don't have to wade a lot, because you can propel these flies a long way from one point. Winter fishing, it's all about location, and fish can be found anywhere on the river. Initially, start close to the bank. Don't even wade into the river. And a great tip here, if the river's been in flood, fish under your feet, because the fish could be tucked into the bank. But after a while, you're gonna have to move deeper out into the river to locate them. Now, if you're doing it on a new river, be very careful. A wading staff is an idea, or fish in a pair, because you never know when you could slip in. Yuri now has hooked into his first ever Dee Grayling, and that is duly brought to hand, putting Czech Republic into the lead.
Yeah.
At this point, Paul Davison decides to create a new rule. which he calls the 20-yard rule, which means once you've hooked a fish, you have to move 20 yards further down, and Yuri, well, he takes the bait, only for Paul to jump in to his spot and hook the next grayling.
Yeah, but that fish doesn't count.
Yeah, it does.
Because you forced Yuri to move out to that spot.
Paul is a mixture of Dr. Evil and Q from James Bond. And let's have a look at his latest gadget.
Now listen up, 007.
It's from a company called Rexfly. Now, you had a good laugh at this.
I did.
But when I first started using it, I thought, yeah, a bit gimmicky, what have you. But the more I use it, the more I like it. Doesn't catch any extra fish, but it makes life a damn sight easier. You know what it's like when we're checking anything, your arms up like that all day long. Right, what I can do with this, I can reduce it by the weight of the reel.
Okay, so you've got a release button there.
Yeah.
Okay, that holds that on there.
That holds me reel there. It's basically, it's 10 quarter with a reel.
Yeah, so you've got that line going
Yeah.
to the rings, yeah.
So I can easily cast all day long.
Yeah.
If I get a fish on, you know what it's like, middle of the river, you need a new leader setup. Got both hands now.
So you can tie your new leader,
Tie
change
your
your cast,
leader.
everything.
Yeah.
Everything's safe, rather than put it under your arm or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. I thought it was a fish. Like that it did, but that was the one snag I was trying to avoid. Be prepared to lose quite a few flies. This only 4-pound breaking strain. Ah! Whoa! 1, 2, 3. The gods of fishing are smiling at me. Well, there you go, 3 flies back. But look closely at the point fly, the one that was fast at the bottom, the hook snapped. Thank you, Mr. Davison, for giving me dodgy flies. I was going to say it's pretty dead down here, but guess what? I've just changed to a heavier fly, first drift through, and yes, it's a grayling. And I'm going to put it in a net. No, I'm not. Whoa, whoa, steady, mate, steady, steady. That's I tell you what, that is by far the biggest grayling so far today. Yes. Well, there you go, folks. The last fish of the day. It was actually hooked before the hooter was sounded, which meant in world and European rules he had 10 minutes playing time. So, scores on the doors, it means Czech Republic first in the competition here in North Wales. Second, third, well, it's a toss-up between England and Wales, but we won't say who came second, who came third. We've all had a great day. Whoa! Well, there you go. Paul's gone for a swim. It looks like Ant's about to take the plunge. Boys, if you wanted to know what was going on down there, just call Richard and the crew. So it's over to ROVTV.
So over the last few weeks, Britain's been hit really hard by floods. All the lakes we've been looking at have been really coloured, and obviously trying to do underwater filming on somewhere like that just isn't going to work. We've spent the best part of 3 days going around different venues trying to find somewhere suitable. This is, I think it's the third lake we've looked at today, and we'll probably just about get away with it. So what we're doing, we've got a pike one out, just a simple floatfish smelt at the moment, just a little dead bait. And what we've done, we've set the ROV, we've set that so it's looking at it, so hopefully we're going to get a pike take on camera. It's going to be interesting at the moment. It's all set up, we're just watching at the moment. Obviously it's just a smelt line there, so hopefully something will come along and sniff it out. You can see the pike appearing from the gloom on the right. He starts to eye up the bait which is lying just out of shot, before backing off for just a few moments. He then returns and once again spots the smelt lying there. You can see his eye swivel in its socket as he focuses on the prey. Then, positioning himself, within a split second the bait is engulfed. It's murked up the water a bit, so I'm not 100% yet. Float's just going now. Right, bear with us. Just give it a bit of slack. Yeah, that's going away now, I think. Just bobbing. Picked it up. Let's see. Yep. I've just remembered we've not got a net. So I'll just try and get Dave to grab that from somewhere. Bear with us. Oh, thought I'd come off then. In nice and easy. Obviously not the biggest pike in the world, just a little jack with a few war wounds on him as well. But we'll get this little guy back, get another bait out there and see if we can catch one of the bigger ones. We've all calmed down a bit after the fish. It's an ideal time to quickly run you through the rig, as it is something a little bit different. It's actually one I've nicked off Dave the cameraman at the moment, so it's a bit old school. It's the old Partridge double hooks, the bait holder ones. It's a small hook on one side which you just hook into your bait, and then a single hook for actually hooking the fish. So it's a lot easier to unhook them, and obviously you've not got hooks flying everywhere where you're trying to land them. So it just makes everything a little bit more pike friendly, even though they have gone a bit out of fashion recently. Obviously that's on a wire tray, so not biting through anything. You can land every fish, and up to the float, dead simple, just a bead and a drilled bullet style weight up to a clear pike float. This time, a larger pike comes into shot after being attracted by the lamprey. She was a lot more confident and picked up the bait without hesitation. As you've just seen, a little bit of excitement there. Decent sized pike, picked up the lamprey. Couldn't see an awful lot on the camera with it murking up. Unfortunately, as I struck into it, it did come off, but obviously we've got the take on camera. So I'm just keeping an eye on it at the moment. Might still come back for another go. So it's starting to get a bit darker now. It's reaching the end of what is really filmable light. I think that last pickup is probably going to be the last bit of action we get, but it's been real interesting stuff. First time we've managed to get fish picking up baits on camera, and the venue's proved successful, so it's definitely somewhere we'll be coming back to. Plenty of things we want to try and see how they react to them, so we'll give it a few more minutes, but it looks like that's going to be the end of it.
From one toothy critter to another, here's David with the news. This is Fishing Britain News. Fancy buying a river? Property prices may be going up in some parts of the UK, but river prices are flat. That's the conclusion of research by land agent Carter Jonas, which has brought out its 2014 Model Estate report. An Australian fisherman has entered shark-infested waters off the Gold Coast wearing just a budgie cage on his head.
He was forced to use the cage whilst fending off a shark attack. Harrington is a member of the Mad Hueys, an Australian fishing and surfing crew who like fishing, surfing, fishing and drinking the odd beer or two, and fishing. Sean Harrington later told reporters that he was lucky to walk away from this one. A group of Japanese yellowtail fishermen were surprised when they landed a rare giant squid. Measuring about 13 foot long, the creature was caught in the frigid waters off northern Japan's Sadogashima Island. Weighing 360 pounds, the squid died after being hauled aboard the fishing boat. The Angling Trust has told Scottish First Minister Alex Salmond to get a grip on the policy concerning Atlantic salmon. It follows a string of decisions in Scotland which all threaten to damage wild fish stocks. The Trust has called on its members to support a petition which has already gained nearly 20,000 signatures. They're challenging the recent reopening of a commercial net fishery targeting spring salmon, one of the most threatened stocks, and it calls on the government to reverse the decision. Visit the Angling Trust website for more. An investigation is underway to try and understand why 100,000 fish died. The trout, bass and catfish were all in a northern Nevada marina and were suffering from a dramatic unexplained drop in dissolved oxygen levels, possibly because oxygen-poor waters are rising from the old rock quarry's bottom due to the recent bitter cold snap. And finally, don't bother with feathers when you're tying a fly for a tigerfish, use the whole bird. A video posted on Nature News Team's YouTube channel shows tigerfish catching whole animals. You are now up to date with Fishing Britain News. Fishing for facts, landing the stories.
Thank you, David. Now we're going to find out what's been caught on the World Wide Web. It's Hooked on YouTube.
Charlie Jacoby here. This is my weekly roundup of the best fishing on YouTube. Carl from the Ace Carl and Alex Fishing channel gets in touch to recommend his favourite films. Among them is Multi-Species Challenge, which has the Uber lads out after carp, roach, rudd, bream, tench, goldfish, perch, pike, gudgeon and trout. The weekly miracle that is totally awesome fishing brings us how to catch flatfish on bait. This episode features plaice, turbot and rays. Rays what, I hear you ask? In Scotland it's the River Tay opening day 2014. From field to stream TV is on the Taymount beat to watch the traditional pouring in of the quake, apologies for my lack of Gaelic, and the more uncertain taking out of a £15 spring salmon. Meanwhile, Hooked UK goes to the Helmsdale to watch the same. There is a parade, the preview of a new fishing outlet, the famous Mallock Trophy, and they too catch a fish. How do you fish lures in high-coloured water? Fishing Addicts Northwest offers 3 keys to success for American salmon and steelhead. We've got good underwater footage of a pike in action this week. Here's how another channel does it. Murphy Sport Fishing drops a GoPro to 30 feet to get among the Chinook and coho on Keokuk Sound. This channel also has some lovely films about fishing in this part of the northwest of America. Right, that's enough grey skies and grey water. Walking Man by Todd Moan showcases Bahamas fly fishing with large dollops of Caribbean style. And finally, carefully ripped off from loads of other channels, here is a blooper reel of fishermen falling in, losing their baits and their lures in amusing manners and generally getting wet. No anglers were harmed. Much. Click on the links to watch the videos, or you will find them in this film's description. If you would like to send in a video for Hooked on YouTube, ping me the link, charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv.
And now it's over to our own Mad Mank, prowling around Anglesey in his onesie.
Today I've come to one of my favourite places in the UK, and it's Anglesey, Holly Island. I grew up here as a young boy, fishing away, catching blennies, catching wrasse, bass and pollock. I love this place, it's such a beautiful part of the country. So it's the middle of January. Normally this time of the year, I'm pike fishing. There's snow on the ground, there's ice on the ground. I can't even remember the last frost we've had. A good friend of mine, he's been catching some nice pollock, even bass and big wrasse. So basically, I've got my onesie on. It's nice and waterproof, nice and warm, although I'm sweating. So let's go on the cliffs and see what we can catch. Robson Green, this is extreme fishing. I want to take the elevator straight back to hell. So I've not just come down here and jumped off this cliff. I know what's down there, I've been down there and I've done that jump a million times. You'd have to be completely stupid to just come down here and throw yourself off not knowing what's down there. Okay, so in this particular area here, over the past has produced some cracking coalfish and pollock. And over the past few years since these have been out, this has been the killer on these rocks. Sand eel. Simple jig head. Basically, I'm going to cast that in, keep it close to the kelp, try and draw them pollock and wrasse, bass, whatever's down there out the kelp. And basically the jig head just goes straight down to the bottom. It's nice and streamlined. That'll go straight down, and I'll be twitching that back, letting it drop, twitching it, let it drop, and maybe even cast and retrieve. And there's another method that I've also been using on here for quite a long time, and that's the drop shot method. So basically the drop shot rig is anchored with a simple lead, a simple weight, and that keeps that tight. You'll send that little chap down and you'll twitch that around in the current, in and out the crevices. And to be fair, it doesn't really need that much work. The waves will do it. The braid is that fine and that sensitive. You just slight little twitches on the end of that rod tip, you know, and that'll put action into any lure you put on that offset hook. So below the surface is absolute hell. There's rocks, there's crevices, there's kelp. It's a sea angler's nightmare. So the way around that is a small tip if you don't know it. In sea angling terms, we would call it the rotten bottom. And basically, where your lead would be attached, you would have 2 granny knots. And at some point, if that got caught, there's a weak point in there and it'll snap. The cheap part, I mean, they're only a quid or wherever. And then you get your lure back. That's the theory anyway. So let's get this down there and see if we can catch a fish.
Anglesey has had some extreme weather over the last few weeks, with waves crashing over the top of the cliffs that Ant has just jumped from. It's oddly warm for January, and the storms have really coloured up the water, making the fishing conditions extremely difficult. We think most of the fish have sought shelter in deeper waters, and the ones that are around probably can't even see our bait. We walk what feels like the entire coastline of Anglesey, all the way to South Stack, and we find ourselves on a small point, looking out with nothing but the horizon in front of us. One good thing about this vista is that you can see storms like this coming from miles away.
It's getting late, it's getting cold, I can't even feel my hands. And looking at that lot on the horizon there, that is pretty extreme. I've just seen a bolt of lightning in the centre of that lot, and I really don't want to be hanging about, especially with these rods. So I've got another idea. I love Anglesey, it's like a second home to me. And the best part about it is, I always go home with a fish.
Well, that's it for another week. Hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you want to keep in contact with all the channels, go to fieldsportschannel.tv and fill out our constant contact form. Don't forget to go on our Facebook page and hit that like button, and follow us on Twitter. I'll see you next week on Fishing Britain.